Ram fam. It's so good to see everybody. It's Susan Gaitan here, training director at the Allen Ram team. And I've got the one and only Michael Renaud with me, my partner in crime. Hello, Michael Renaud.
Hello, Susan Gaitan. How is everything out there on the West Coast?
Just fine and dandy. It's about a cool 69 degrees right now outside. How about you?
No, it's freezing cold. Spring has not come to New York. It's we're having actually, I think this morning was like February and April. Yeah, it's really it's a little insane right now, but yeah, it's freezing cold outside, and hopefully it'll start warming up soon and we'll see some spring here.
Hopefully. You got a late start. Well, I am excited to see you and to chat with you again. We always have a lot of fun in these little podcast sessions. You've been out of town, so you and I have a lot of catching up to do. You've been running around like traveling. Crazy, like a chicken with your head cut off. A lot of demand for in-store training right now. A lot of folks and managers requesting in-store training. By the way, this episode of Fired Up Podcast is brought to you by
Management by Fire. May 18th and 19th, Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado, folks. If you don't know already, this class was originally put together by Allen himself. It still lives on. It is a phenomenal class, bringing managers from around the country, even Canada, together. And, you know, we make good managers great in this class. So we had to give it a little plug.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. And I know it's a little late in the calendar, but we always have a spot for somebody. It's just, we're going to a new state. We haven't been to Colorado in a while. We've made it easy for everybody. It's right at the airport. And it's just 2 incredible days. I mean, we've been doing in-store versions, Susan, you mentioned off the bat, we've been doing in-store versions of Management by Fire now, a ton this year, kicking dealers off with it, coming in and giving refreshers to managers. Next week, I'm doing one with, a 13 store group for all of their salespeople at every single store. And, it's like everyone's realizing, hey, we got to get back on our game. The market is shifting. The world is shifting. We need to get our staff. We've all been, fat and high on the hog. Yeah, we're fat and happy. And you see it in when I'm in the stores, you see it in their faces. You're standing in an empty lot with a couple salespeople, and you're looking out where should be, rows and rows of Hyundais and Genesis, or Jeeps and Dodges, or whatever it is, and there's nothing there. And they're discouraged and they're not sure where to go with this. And that's where this program and what we're doing and what we're teaching out there is giving them some guidance. But even that, they're having run-ins. So let me kind of position this to you. This is what I'm hearing a bunch is, there's two types of customers out there right now, right? There's regular, Susie Gaitan, who is in just her regular buying cycle, time to buy a car. She's, watched CNN and Fox News and seen all the stories out there about how bad the economy is and how there's no inventory and how prices are expensive. But she also knows she's getting a ton of money for her trade-in, and she's very excited about that. And that is customer one. Just understands the market, doesn't understand how to shop in this market, is very weary, very uncertain, not sure what to do, but in the same breath understands the reality of the market.
I'm going to say that's most people. I don't think 100%. Most people understand really how to navigate the shopping process.
No,
right?
They don't know. Well, think about it. You do this once every 3 to 5 years. I'm not good at anything. You're not good at anything we do once every 3 to 5 years. So even in a normal car market, which was, a pre-COVID market, we'll call it. Sure. Yeah. In a pre-COVID market, I kind of knew what to do, but I still didn't really know what to do. Now in this market where I'm being told, so many things, the car news is like, it's something that everyone loves talking about, right? Either on the local news or national news, or just people sitting around, talk, at someone's house at a gathering, they're talking about what's happening in the economy. They're talking about, and cars is part of that because it's such a part of our life.
And by this time, people know that car prices are high.
Right.
That is the one thing that they know.
They also know the car in their driveway is high. Listen, I had a leased car that I normally would have just given the keys back to the manufacturer, got a new lease and kept it moving, but I didn't. This time I traded in that car and got $5,000 of equity out of a leased car. I should have never been able to do that ever. So here I am getting $5,000 of equity back in a car that I should never get. But the car I bought was another $3,000-$4,000 higher than it should have been. So that's the reality. But that's one customer. The other customer that's out there is the one that's on the phone, just banging every dealership within 100 miles of them, looking for that one specific vehicle. And I get it. Like, that is a new customer out there that we haven't dealt with before. And that customer is going to find out at some point what we all know, which is that car doesn't exist. Okay. Or you're not going to see that car for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. So the salespeople are saying, hey, I love your scripts. They work almost all the time, but this specific customer, they're not working on because the customer doesn't want to hear my spiel. He doesn't want to hear me, tell him about, what a great time they chose to call us on Fords and blah, blah, blah. They don't want to hear that. They just want to hear, is the car there or not? So here's the advice I gave them. And then you tell me if I'm running around giving bad advice or I'm a genius, or somewhere in between.
That's fair. I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, good. So
I'll volunteer.
Okay, cool. You're an idiot. You've ruined these people's lives.
Well, no, I'll isolate this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
This episode.
That's much better. I appreciate that. So, what I told them is, listen, with that customer that's banging through, first and foremost, be polite, be nice, be helpful. Okay. Be honest with them. Yes. No, the car isn't here. Sorry. No, the car isn't here, but I have a couple wonderful options for you, and if they don't want to hear the options and they just say goodbye, that's okay. Right. Because most stores have leads coming, this high, way over their head from the leads that they can handle. And the leads are this amount, and the what they can handle is less. And, so some customers, you just have to keep moving, but you're polite, you're honest with them, because at some point, they'll go down the road and call every single dealer from, Baton Rouge to, Tallahassee, and they'll get nothing. So they're going to come back to the person who is polite and nice to them and straight with them. Did I steer these people in the wrong way?
No, absolutely not. I agree that, you are going to get that customer, and we hear it. We hear it when we mystery shop our own clients. And you get that person that is power calling, right? Power calling all of the surrounding cities, right?
What a great term. Nice.
And, we've done this in the past if we get our mind stuck on that one thing, but we all know the reality that 9 times out of 10, that person's going to end up buying something else. And so what you're doing is fantastic because, obviously you still want to provide that service to the customer and insight, right? But what we hear instead is, oh, no, sorry, we don't have that car. And what happens is,
there's a $10,000 addendum, deal with it.
Yeah. Or, it's priced competitively or I'm sorry, it's marked up or, whatever the case is. Maybe they don't even get to the price talk. Maybe that person is just solely interested in finding that car, but whatever the case, I think you and I can agree. We hear a lot of calls that end so short and so abruptly because it's not set up properly. So, obviously you've got to,
and they don't care. There's an attitude of not caring, and I don't get that either. It bothers me.
I think it's a combination of that, but I also think a lot of it is just habits. I think we get on the phone and, I think you and I have talked about this before. in an effort to provide the service and the answer to the customer's question, you answer with, okay, well, I'm sorry, we don't have it. And then there's no opportunity to fill the conversation with everything else. However, we do have these in stock. Would you consider this if it, met your budget? What other vehicles are you considering if you were to? And like you said, even if they hung up the phone right then and there, but you still mentioned to them, listen, Michael, we may not have that car right now, but we can either pre-order or we can offer you these other alternatives that we have a ton of. Our
100%.
Inventory changes frequently by the hour. Don't forget, your biggest challenge here won't be finding a car, but narrowing it down to just one.
Just one.
So
yes.
I think you're right on point. I think that, I think I don't know if it's not caring. I think it's not knowing how. I think a lot of these guys just don't know how.
Well, and they don't know how, and it becomes a roadblock, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, here's a perfect example. There's a Subaru dealer that we work with down in Fort Walton Beach, and the GM there is a lady named Sarah, and Sarah's amazing because Sarah has no more than 9 new cars in inventory every single month at any one time, but she's still selling 30, 40 new cars every month.
A great floor plan.
Well, she's got no cars. She's turning an inventory. She's working her used cars. She's working her CPOs. She's getting trade-ins, flipping them through service quickly. And she's not letting her staff get hung up on the fact. Mm-hmm. Bring the customer. Let's work on it. Explain to them, we don't have the car, but I have some amazing options that you're going to love. No, you can call every Subaru store within 200 miles of here. No one has the car. Come in. Let's talk some options. Or you're more than happy to wait and you can pre-order the vehicle.
But you're right. The point is offering those things. And you mentioned something a few minutes ago. Even if that customer does not respond right then and there in that conversation with oh, that sounds great. They might even hang up the phone, call another 2-3 dealerships and realize, hey, Michael actually offered me something else and provided me a little bit more insight.
Right.
I think I'm going to call that guy. Right.
Because all the other ones hung up on them or told them how much more the car is going to be, or told them all the million problems of why they can't give them a car. And what we're doing is think about it, Susan, when you go shopping, if you walked into a store and you were like, oh, do you have this, outfit in this size? And they were like, well, we have a lot of supplier problems and, it's taken the trucks forever to get here. And, a couple of weeks we'll have it and it's going to cost you another $40. Like, do you want to hear all of that? Or would you love for her to say, that dress is beautiful. I don't really have it in the size you're asking, but I have a couple other things that I would love to show you.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes. When people have the itch to buy, you've got to offer them what's available now.
And stop making your problems their problem. Mm-hmm. Your job is to help customers through the hurdles, not tell them what hurdles they're going to have to jump. You have to help put them on your shoulders and jump the hurdles for them. It's like going to your boss. Like, can you imagine, turning around, when you were in the dealership, Susan, and just turning to your boss and, hey, boss, I just can't, sell today because we don't have enough. We don't have the specific cars that customers are calling on. And I just can't, serve them exactly what they are asking for. So I can't be a waiter today. So I can't work.
Yeah, no, I think that you'd lose your job right away. I mean, listen, a buyer is a buyer. And we all know that 9 out of 10 people are going to change and buy something else. The numbers don't lie. Yep. They just don't. Those are the numbers.
Exactly. And are there certain models that, that you're not going to get right now? If I'm going to call a store and get a Ford Bronco, I'm not going to get a Ford Bronco right now. And that's okay. There are ways to work through that. There are pre-orders. There's a million ways to provide options to customers. Even if if I'm working in a Range Rover store and someone's calling me for the 23 big bodies cars, forget about it. I have options. We have a dealer in Atlanta. We have an amazing Range Rover dealer in Atlanta. You know what they're doing? They're telling customers, listen, you're not going to see that 23 big body for another year, maybe 2 years. I'm going to put you in a CPO right now. You are going to love it. It's going to be a beautiful car. You'll keep it for a year. Don't worry. It's going to hold its value. The market's doing great. And I'll get you out of that car in a year from now and put you in your brand new one. Now they're taking in a trade, selling a CPO, and guaranteeing a sale.
What a
You
great,
think you can make some accommodation for that customer?
Absolutely. 100%, 100%.
You're making a customer for life at that point as well.
Well, and those are the little habits, those are the little skill sets that will set a salesperson apart. So on that note, if we can talk about, and I absolutely love this topic. Our theme in May is hunter versus farmer sales mentality. And this is something we talk about quite frequently. In fact, this is something that we discuss thoroughly in our management class with our managers, because it really lets you see what type of people you have on your staff and what skills they're honing on or not honing. Is that
our sponsor, Management by Fire?
By the way, Management by Fire.
18th and 19th,
Denver, Colorado. Denver, Colorado.
All right.
Yeah. So if you're
managementbyfire.com,
if you're anywhere near Denver, or in the surrounding areas, definitely stop by. But yeah, hunter versus farmer. And I think historically, traditionally, the industry raised us to be quite the hunters, right? Yeah. Before we even had the internet take a big role in this whole, the way shoppers find vehicles, we had to rely on our skills to close, to take somebody, down through the negotiation process and to a close right then and there.
Right. Spotters were king. If you were a writer or, you were getting a swap car or whatever it is, like no one want that. You were shunned for the day. Like That's right. wanted to be the spot guy. And also, hey, Alec Baldwin taught us the ABCs are always be closing. They weren't always building your book of business.
Yeah. And unfortunately, what occurred was, the industry appealed to so many of these hunter type salespeople, and it ends up becoming this one and done mentality, right? Let me close you right now, but I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about next week. I'm not worried about next month because I know my dealership is going to provide me the leads that I need to close, right? Yep. I'm worried about closing the thing right in front of me. And I think, I personally know a lot of very, very talented people who know how to close folks. And I'm not talking about the typical aggressive guy, right? But I'm talking about being so focused on what do we have today? What you got today? Today. And that's what gets us into this vicious cycle of having to start over at the first of the month. Right? As salespeople, having to start all over. Wow, you had a record-breaking month. Got a pretty killer paycheck this month, but now what? Now the month starts new, and now what do you have? So, I love this topic because we train people, and it's right in our name. We train people to be proactive and farm and cultivate and learn how to generate opportunities on their own. Yep. So I wanted to ask you, because you've been in the dealerships, you've been traveling, visiting, I don't know how many groups and dealerships in different states. What are you seeing right now? And how do you think that this whole uptick in profit is doing and affecting salespeople on the showroom floor?
I think if we go back and look at the entire, stretch, COVID, we'll call it the COVID stretch that we just went through, right? Mm-hmm. Salespeople became hunters, and that's it. They all got out of the farming business. Their managers got out of the farming business. They got out of the farming business. The only thing they cared about was how much gross they could pick up on new cars in the front end. It became like it's become almost a game.
Yeah.
Market adjustments. How much can we pump up the front? And that was it. And there was no thought, no concern of what's going to happen to this customer. Sure, there were good managers who had that in the back of their head. What's going to happen to this customer 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when this customer wants to come back with this car? What the hell are we going to do with this car? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's right. So there are some good managers that, well, but the majority of the business did not think about what's going to happen to this customer. What's going to happen to this customer? And they realize that I got them for 10 grand over sticker.
Oh,
What's going to happen in all of these ramifications in my relationships with my customer, and everyone stopped being hunters.
mm-hmm.
And now they're standing around looking at the crop, and there's nothing yielding. And there's nothing coming out because they've burned their fields.
Dry.
It's dry, right? They haven't taken care and tended themselves. Yeah. So now they haven't made, we talk about hunter and farmer all the time, but I also love the term recession proof.
Yeah.
And being a farmer makes yourself recession proof. And being a farmer doesn't mean you can't be a hunter too.
No.
But the fact of the matter is that being a hunter is going to get you through the bad. Sorry, being a farmer is what's going to get you through the rough times.
Mm-hmm.
And am I saying the rough times are starting tomorrow? No, but I think they're on the horizon, and I don't think I'm alone in that.
Nope.
And guess what? If I'm wrong, then that's awesome, because that means the economy did well and America's doing great. And I don't want to bet against America, and I don't want to bet against our economy and all those things, but you could see sometimes where it's heading. So how do we get ready for it, Susan? That's the question.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
how do we pivot? Here's the question. How do we pivot the salespeople that I'm seeing there and their managers, some of whom have only been managers and only been salespeople through this period of COVID, or maybe, a lot of people think about it. If I got hired in 2019, I'm already 3 years into the business, and 2 out of the 3 years that I've been in the business, all I know is this market. So we're not talking like a real green pea here. I can be standing here 3 years in the business. Okay, some people are going to tell me I'm a green pea 3 years in a business, but 3 years in the business gives me a little bit of experience. I have a cycle of lease customers that are now starting to come due for me, right? But, how do I pivot? I don't know. And their managers don't know how to help them. There's no one in the store to mentor them to that position, because that transition isn't easy. So what's some advice we can give them?
Well, with the time that we do have left, I will say there is something that I will respectfully disagree with you on.
That's okay.
I think managers do know what to do. I think they all know, and it's all the basics. It's back to basics.
Yeah, but
it's
they
following
forget the basics.
Well, that's, they know, but at this point, it's having to steer this big heavy ship.
Yep.
Okay. 15 degrees, or maybe even some 90 degrees, 180 degrees for some people. Right. And at this point, you're trying to change the habits of a team of 5, 10, 20 salespeople, which that's not easy.
No.
And so, but those basics, what are those basics? I mean, it's not rocket science. You and I know this.
And number one is consistency, right?
Creating those habits, those everyday habits that's going to make them successful on their own. And it's not having to rely on the dealership's leads. No, right. and let's face it, that's what most, I'm going to say 80% of sales staffs do, is they know that they're going to walk in, there's going to be leads coming in.
Or coming through the door, just staring at the door.
Coming through the door, right. Looking for that car, right. Calling around, power calling. But we need to get back, and there needs to be, in my opinion, an immediate, massive action to turn this ship around. Otherwise, you're going to feel the strain of these economic lows, when your lot is full of cars, overflowing with cars, right? You can't mark your cars up 10 grand anymore, right?
No, we got to go back to selling cars again.
You've got to go back to those basics. So it's confirming that appointment. It's everything, but first and foremost, it's everything that you say on that phone call. Like we said at the beginning of this podcast, it's everything else that you say to that customer and how you treat them, and guiding them through this process. But it's following up on that appointment, sending that video confirmation. It's the 90-day checking in, being top of mind every 90 days.
It's the
referral. Asking for referrals.
That referral, but that referral is the key to staying recession proof. Right?
It's all of those little things. It's treating it like your own business, and cultivating more opportunities so that you're not out there waiting, right? Like this, out on the point for the next guy to come, or waiting for the phone to ring, because we know that that's happening and that's going to happen. So.
And that has to stop. You can't be, it's, you know, we talked before about the ABCs Alec Baldwin taught, but it's really about the ABCs that Alan taught us, you know, and that's those activities between customers. What are you doing when no one's in the showroom? And at some point, no one's going to be in the showroom. And 100%. You're going to have to get them back in the door.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more, brother. And you know where we teach all these things?
Oh, with our sponsor, Management by Fire.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Management by Fire, Denver, Colorado, May 18th and 19th.
Managementbyfire.com.
Well, it's been fun chatting with you again. We've got so much to talk about. There's so much that I'm sure that we could unpack. It'd take us another hour.
Yeah, you didn't even talk about, you know, our new social to showroom, and your you guys are doing a whole chapter on Twitter and Elon, right?
We'll see how we will see how that.
Oh, that's in the future. Okay, all right.
We'll see how that plays out first. We gotta wait for that to play out first. We'll see.
But we do have our new social the showroom course with Melanie Borden, and it is wonderful. I want everyone to see it and experience it. It really focuses so many. You know, there's so many people out there that will tell you you can sell cars off social. You cannot sell a car off social. You create opportunities to sell cars off of social. Yeah. And that's what we teach you to do. Yes. Just like we give you the opportunity to create sales off of the phone or off of the internet. That's what we do. We get more people into your showroom to help you.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, I was doing some last edits on those chapters that are going to be released this next month. We've got a chapter on increasing visibility and engagement, converting those opportunities into leads that you then convert into the showroom. And then we have a chapter coming out on Facebook Meta, which is excellent. I would highly recommend, if you're new to the whole social game, if you've been around for a while and just need a recap on all of those little logistics. There's a lot of practicality in these chapters too, teaching you, you know, the ins and outs. So check it out. Give us a call or get a hold of us. We'll give you a free trial of what we've got there. So again, Management by Fire, Denver, Colorado. If you're in the area, stop by and say hi. Michael.
Susan, it's always wonderful. Stay warm and toasty on the West Coast there.
Well, I'm about to turn the AC on today. I think it's about that time of
I can open up the window.
You need to stay warm and cozy. Yeah, you stay warm and cozy. Have fun with the fam. And we will see each other soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
Hopefully. All right.
Around the range. Yeah, I'll see you. Actually, you know where I'm going to see you May 18th and 19th in Denver, Colorado at Management by Fire.
Awesome. I will be there for sure.
Or be square.
All right.
Bye.
I'll see you, partner. Take care. Bye.